Dr. Zahara, the
Yeah,
content, hi Dr.
content for today. I
Okay.
would like to inform that Irma Shasha is not presenting today, and
Who?
as well as Zarifah Muhammad Zain.
I see.
All
So we
right.
only have left
Yeah,
with
we
four
only have
presenters.
four presenter only for our session.
All right. Okay. So
Okay.
yes.
Before we start, I would like to right. I would like to take a photo. For our session, our group photo. Please, everybody, please turn on your camera so that I can print screen. So that I can print screen the session. Right, Muhammad Yazid, Dr. Maisara, and also Miss my Pagiswari Jandran. Right, so yeah, Muhammad Yazid, please. Yeah, you have like 1 minute to prepare. Dr. Maisara, are you available here? Right, if that's so, okay. Yeah, Yazid. Maybe Muhammad Saiful, Encik Saiful prepare for the session. It's okay. Right, is there anything?
Doctor, 1 minute.
I can hear you. Wait. Because my police.
Dr. Maggie, we cannot hear you
Okay,
because
sorry.
you're still on.
Okay, how to change the name in Google Meet?
Okay. You have to change before you join the session.
So what is the name appearing there? I'm not sure because sometimes I'm use short versions of name. What is the name of
It's your full name.
Pagiswari Ranjandran, right?
Pagiswari
Okay,
Ranjandran,
thank you.
yes. Okay.
Right, okay, ready everyone? Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Right, one more time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you very much.
Right. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Zahara, for introducing yourself. And yes, so everyone, my name is Kalsitina Set. So I've been appointed by the IJCHT committee to be the chairperson for this session. So before we start, just to confirm that we are on the right room, all right, and on the right sessions. We are at session 3, room 5 for sustainable tourism 2. All right, and then we be located for to present this session from 2:20 p.m. until 5:30 p.m. But just now, Dr. Zahara mentions that two of the presenter is not able to be here today. So we only left with 4 presentations. So is it okay if we can have more time for presentation, because it is stated on the website it is allocated 10 minutes for presentation and 5 minutes for Q&A.
Yes, we can. Yes,
Okay,
we can
all right. So we can have more than 10 minutes for presentation.
Yes,
So
yes.
no need to hurry. So just so we can just have a good session at this afternoon. All right. So before I start, I just want to check that beside myself, we're going to present today. We have Muhammad Yazid Ani presenting his paper titled Resident Satisfactions Towards Sustainable Tourism Development in Cameron Highlands. Alright, Cik Muhammad Yazid?
Yes.
Alright. Alright, and then we have the third presenter is Muna Mariam Azmi. Okay, and then her paper titled Analyzing Future of Accessibility Tourism in Malaysia. And we have Dr. Mageshwari, Beyond Image as Post-Pandemic Recovery, Sustaining Destination Environmental Quality Through Exhilarant Experience. Right, so I hope all the presenters are here. And then Muhammad Yazid and Ms. Muna maybe can prepare yourself earlier than expected, because Irma and Zarifah will be not presenting her paper today. Right. So I will welcoming myself to present my paper for today. So the title is Evaluation on Horseshoe Crab Conservation Program Potential in Malaysia. So let me prepare the slide first. All right. I hope everyone can see the slides. Yes? No?
Yes, we can.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. So the title is Fuzzy Demetal Approach for Horseshoe Crab Conservation-Based Community-Based Ecotourism Program in Malaysia. So this paper is, we have three members and myself under Faculty of Business, Economic and Social Developments. And then the second author is Dr. Aslina Nasir from Faculty of Fisheries and Food Science, and our third co-authors is Associate Professor Dr. Faridah Muhammad from the Horseshoe Crab Research Group under Faculty of Science and Marine Environment. So actually, based from the combination of authors, you can see that this is actually an interdisciplinary project. I'm from the tourism program, and Dr. Farida is from the Horseshoe Crab unit from UMT, and we want to highlight the horseshoe crab similar as we want to go to the level same as our how Malaysian love our turtles, right? As a tourism product. So now we want to try to promote and create awareness on horseshoe crab as well. So as you see, the horseshoe crab, or in our local name is belangkas lah, okay, is actually a fossil animals, and it has been here since million years ago. And the features of this horseshoe crab is um, likely related to aliens features, all right. But however, all right, uh, uh, however, due to this I would say the environment situations, so it is now hardly can be seen. All right, out of 4 species of this horseshoe crab in the world, we have 4 here in Malaysia actually. All right, and uh, uh, we have it in Kuala Kemaman, Terengganu, beside others destination like Johor, Melaka, Kedah, and Perlis. So one of it have in Kuala Kemaman, Terengganu, and Kuala Kemaman is located in the east of Malaysia, and then being unique and is ecologically important. So we think that these animals, belangkas, have potentials for ecotourism product. Okay. So what's the issue of this horseshoe crab? Besides it is quite low in numbers nowadays, but we see that in the scope of this project, in terms of the assessment to to look into the potential of ecotourism products. Okay, most assessment to evaluate whether ecotourism product is a yes or no go, normally or traditionally it is used based on qualitative information such as the SWOT analysis, PESTEL, Porter 5 forces. All right. However, in the context of ecotourism, they have these interrelated attributes. So it is not quite efficient if we only looking at the SWOT or poster or PESTEL analysis. We need something assessment that can that can interrelate the attributes. So thus we come up with this fuzzy set theory, all right, which is the combinations of evaluation laboratory decision making trial and evaluation laboratory, or DMATEL, because this method can address the interrelationship attribute which the previous strategy analysis like SWOT, PESTEL or Porter cannot give further explanations or answers on the whether the ecotourism must be proceed or not. All right. So that's the objective of our research is want to develop a set of attribute for Belangkas conservation based as ecotourism potential in Malaysia. We want to determine the interrelationship among the horseshoe crab ecotourism attributes, and we want to identify the criteria for assessing these Belangkas. All right. So what you can see in the screen is actually the baby, baby Belangkas. Okay, so in terms of the literature review, it is said that if you want to promote ecotourism, first things that we need to do is to understand the relevant resources that
Sorry,
are
Dr. Siti.
yes.
Your slide is not moving, is it?
Oh ya, kenapa saya moving je?
Oh, I thought you're
Sedih.
in the first page.
Still on the first page?
Yes, we're looking at
You
your
look at slideshow first.
Langkas picture.
Okay, maybe right. Let me.
Still on the introduction. Yes.
Oh, okay. What about now?
Can you make it on slideshow, please, Dr.
Yes,
Siti?
yes. I try to change it into the slideshow. But just now, it not moved because I convert it into the slideshow. And now right. So what about now?
Yes. Now it moves to introduction. Thank you.
Okay. But I'm already at the literature review sections now. Okay, do you want me to go back, or I just continue to the slides that I'm stopped at?
I think this is okay.
Okay, okay, so I just proceed, right? So in terms, all right. Okay, so to promote ecotourism, it is stated that it is important to understand the relevant resources that are available in any area or destination that we want to suggest. All right. So potential assessment is very important so that we can understand the stakeholders' perceptions and acceptance levels. All right. And in order to evaluate the ecotourism's characteristic or attributes to go for further ecotourism developments, according to Sang et al. 2019, they need to assess based on these 5 attributes, which is value of attractions, facility management, the environments, ecotourism activities, and also the community participations. So now I'm on the 6th slide. So is it move?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So what is value of attraction? I think most of the audience are majoring in tourism's degree, so we know what is value of attraction. Something that attracts, okay, tourists to come over to that particular site. All right. And then for facility management is about the requirements in terms of the public facilities, okay, or recreational activities, and those facilities must meet the expectation of the tourists that we are aim for, okay. And then in terms of the environmental concerns, it's about the environmental sustainability, okay, related to the products or the marines, the animals that we are going to associate with, okay. Then activities is something that if it's ecotourism, it must something that will not give harm or effect, okay, to the physical and social of the environments. All right. And also we have to make sure when we want to conduct ecotourism activity is actually we are upgrading or we want to maintain or sustain the natural resources there. So that's what ecotourism activities is all about. Okay. In terms of the community participation, it's definitely in terms of the acceptance level, okay, the commitments of the community around that area that we want to go for ecotourism's product. So this is the scope of study. I've mentioned on my first slides that beside Johor, Kedah and Johor, Kedah, Melaka and Perlis, we have here one in Terengganu, which is located in Kuala Kemaman. So it is a coastal area, and then the community there or the villages in Kuala Kemaman, approximately about 300 villages. So we see the potential of ecotourism activities to in terms of community-based ecotourism, all right, to be uh, held in that area. So using the definitions that I explained earlier to fit in with this Belangkas punya community ecotourism project, so we have defined and fit the definition of value of attractions, facility management, environmental concerns, ecotourism activities, and community participation based on these horseshoe crabs, the research context. So in terms of what if value attractions is something that horseshoe crab or belangkas punya attractions, their natural habitat, what is their life history visit in hatchery, the availability of horseshoe crab itself, in order so that we can do these volunteerism activities, all right. In terms of the facility management, we define the facilities of our, the facilities in Kemaman in general, all right, to meet the quality standard provided by the quality service in terms of the accessibility, all right, the cleanliness of the area, the infrastructure, and also accommodations that can cater when tourists come to Kuala Kemaman community-based horseshoe crab, all right. Besides that, in terms of environmental concerns, is about how to maintain the well-being of the environment that related to horseshoe crabs, in terms of the water pollutions, the wave breakers to protect the beach, and also the habitat degradation and land reclamations. The ecotourism activities, all right, is something that based on the natural resources in Kemaman that support the activity for the volunteerism that we are suggesting to be offered by Horseshoe Crab Sanctuary in Kuala Kemaman, all right. And then the community participation is from the community at Kuala Kemaman, all right. We want to look into their involvement and their support, in terms of this conservation program. So in terms of data collections, all right, so if you remember that this project is based on this fuzzy method approach, all right, it's actually a mathematic model. Refer to previous study, all right, from Sang et al., which is conducted in Thailand. So we have to select the respondents that have very good knowledge in terms of the products, and of course in terms of the ecotourisms. So we have decided to select 2 government officials with have outstanding working experience in ecotourism product development in Terengganu, and we have just 3 professors with their research and experience in destination attractiveness and also sustainable ecotourism developments. So if you see here in my slides, it's actually a matrix tables from those 5 attributes, value of attraction, facility management, environmental concerns, ecotourisms, and community patients in terms of the column side, and on the row side at the top of the table is also value of attraction, facility management, environmental concern, ecotourism activities, and community participation. So what the respondent need to do, these 5 respondents, which we acknowledge them as the experts in their area. So they need to fill up, the score, between, for example, the value of attraction and facility management. What is the score in terms of the impact, all right? Alright, so that score is based from this fuzzy linguistic scale. Okay, they have 5 scales actually. Alright, so 0 for no influence, alright, between the attributes, alright, or they have a very low influence, so the respondent must uh, write 1, okay, or 2 for low influence, 3 for high influence, and very high influence, they have to mark as 4. Alright, so they will have to fill in on this empty blank, and then they have to evaluate, alright, and then rank based on their experts and experience, alright, in terms of, for example, value of attraction and facility management. What is um, the importance between these two attributes, alright? And if you remember, if you can see on my slide, it's already marked 0, okay, on these boxes, because it is no apa kita kata no influence, yes, no influence if it is between the same attributes, okay, value of attraction and value of attraction here have no, okay, have no influence among the same attributes. So that's why it is pre written with a zero influence. Okay, but the rest of the boxes, the experts must evaluate and value in terms of the attributes. Okay, once we have the results, okay, and then we come out with so that it is applied in this mathematical model, all right, and then with the software, thank you, all right, so we come out with these results, all right. So from this mathematical models, using this fuzzy dimensional approach, okay, it gave us this diagram. All right, this diagram indicates that from that 5 attributes, we can see the relationship. All right, and we can divide between those 5 attributes which one is cause attribute and effect attribute. All right. So it is indicated that facility management and environmental concern is the cause group, and the effect groups are the attributes of community participation, ecotourism activities, and value of attractions. I put it here so it's easy, so it's better explanation. So from here, using this approach, okay, fuzzy dimensional approach, the results is able to give us or give the decision makers, okay, informations on first the which one is the cause attributes and which one is the effect attributes, right, from those 5 ecotourism attributes, right. So it is stated here, facility management and environmental concerns are the cause attributes. It indicates that to the decision maker when you want to proceed for this community-based ecotourism horseshoe crab, all right. So first you have to make sure the facility management, okay, is ready. All right, you have to have all the basic infrastructure services, and also the environmental concerns, all right, in terms of the water pollutions, in terms of the habitat degradation or reclamations is not able to meet, okay, able to meet the for the ecotourism activity to be conducted, right? Because once these two are achieved, so that it will influence, okay, the value of attractions, okay, it will attract the tourists, okay, so the ecotourism activities can be conducted, and the community participation will give full support because those facility management and environmental concern has met their objective or dia punya functions lah. Okay, so this is how we discovered when we use this fuzzy dimensional approach instead of using like a SWOT analysis. Okay, However, the reason why we come to this conference because we want to have a feedback, okay, from the audience, whether this research contribution able to address those interrelationship among the attributes. Alright, from our result, it is acceptable lah. Alright, okay, but we want to know whether is there any other actually solutions in order to we can offer for our decision makers and assessment tools options. Alright, so that first we want to avoid any project gajah putih lah, okay, happen in our country. Alright, and then we want to make sure that any decision has been made and discussed thoroughly. So that's why we suggested this fuzzy method approach. Alright, because from our point of view that fuzzy method approach, like number 2, can present this causal interrelated model, okay, to develop these theoretical insights. And also these models can again help the decision makers to understand the causal relationship among the attributes, right? And also this will become an options of decision making tools for the stakeholders, especially the authority, on evaluating any potential conservation program to be established. And we start with this Horseshoe Crab project first. Alright, so yes, that's all from us. And just for information, this is project under a UMT translational grant. So we are under the group of HCRG UMT Horseshoe Crab Research Group. Saya ni berbelit nak sebut Horseshoe Crab tu. Sebab tu saya sebut belangkas je, senang. So that's all from me. Thank you very much. And yes, I'm looking forward for any questions from the audience about our project. Thank you. Hello? So anybody has questions? Oh yes, maybe I would like to introduce, we have Dr. Farida Muhammad, one of my our co-author, that part of this project. So we are looking forward from the audience. Any comments and feedback about what I have presented just now?
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dr. Kalsitina.
Ya, Dr. Mai.
Okay, just it's a very interesting topic on
Thank you.
Okay.
Belangkas.
Belangkas another spesies yang kita kena jagalah.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So kat Terengganu ni kita dah ada penyu, kita dah ada we come up with tuntun, penyu. Okay, the next this horseshoe lah. Okay, so congratulations to the team. Cuma my question, sebab nampak macam this is a prelim lah kan?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a prelim. So basically, you have identified there are 5 attributes that use, right? To identify the ni. So basically, what are the instrument that you use to ask the respondent? Since you have 5 respondents as well,
Yes.
right? The 5 experts kan? So what are the instrument and how actually you do that data collection? What are the things that you ask them? How you get their response and how you plot that into the metric of that Desi
Fuzi di Matel.
Fuzi di Matel. Alright, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mai. Okay, so in terms of the items, okay, we refer this project based on this one particular research, okay, which is conducted in Thailand in 2019. All right. So what we did, so we adopt it, but in terms of the definitions of the attributes, okay, like I show you just now. So we fit in with the belangkas punya context lah, okay, and then using those, kalau I don't know whether I can share to you. Let me check.
Is it like open-ended question or is
No,
it
it's not.
structured?
It's actually macam box that I showed to you just now, right? Okay, so they just have to value value the sekejap, alamak cancel. Okay, mana ni? So they only just have to value, okay, the influence score between those 5 attributes yang macam matrix tu. Nampak tak? I tengah share ni, tak nampak?
Now,
Sekejap, try sekali lagi. Okay, this one Dr. Mai, can you see?
Yes, clearly.
Okay. Alright. So this so we do this these boxes, okay. So kalau dekat row ni nampak kita letak the value of attractions kan? A1, A2, A3, A4 and 5. And then we have put the definitions or the context of what is value of attractions in terms of horseshoe crab punya ni lah. Okay. And at the row tu pun ada juga those 5 attributes, and then those experts they have to value, okay, the relationship between value of attraction and facility management based on the scale 0 to 4. So same goes to others, like value of attraction dengan environmental concern, value of attraction and ecotourism activities, and value of attractions and community participations. So they have to score based on this scale lah. This is the common scale if you use this fuzzy dimetal approach. Kalau we use fuzzy, okay, and then we combine it with dimetal, decision making trial and evaluation laboratory.
Okay.
Okay, and then ada satu lagi soalan kan. We use online Google Form, so we compute it in table, so they just fill up the scores.
So meaning that you are just given them one table which they have to put the value on each of the row and column.
Yes, but before we give them the link of that online, so we give a call first and then we explain to them the research objective lah. Okay, we explain them the situations, and then once they agreed, so they respond to the online Google form.
Okay, based on this finding, what are the next step?
So actually, we are looking forwards. Kalau this is okay, we want to go full swing to the stakeholders actually, because it's like preliminary kan, macam pilot test, alright. At the same time, we want to understand whether the result is it promising, okay, so that we can convince to the stakeholders, alright. So we have these results from the So we have the result from the stakeholders, which will include the community, okay, the representative of the community, okay, of course, the experts in community-based ecotourism, which may come direct from the NGO or the professors or any lecturers in Malaysia. Alright, of course, the government authority like Ministry of our MOTEC and also Tourism Malaysia as well. Alright, in terms of their experts lah in terms, okay, because they also the authority whether to proceed or not of the project kan. So then we want to come up with a real survey lah using this method or model ni.
Alright, thank you, Doctor.
Any questions from others? So maybe I just may I like stop the session first, and maybe we can continue to other presenters, so that if anything questions need to be asked, we can just share our email together, and then we can get a networking sessions further after this. Okay, is it okay? I'm excusing myself, and then we will start with the second presenter, Dr. Zahara.
Yes, please.
Boleh? Kan takut
Yeah,
nanti
proceed
kata,
with the next presenter.
takut nanti kata saya lari daripada session Q&A pula. Okay, alright. Thank you very much, Dr. Maya, for the questions on my paper. So next, we have Muhammad Yazid Ani from UiTM Penang itself, okay, which will represent his paper title Resident Satisfactions Towards Sustainable Tourism Development in Cameron Highlands. So Cik Muhammad, are you ready?
Yes.
Alright, so all the best. So we give you about more than 10 minutes, but not more than 20 minutes. Okay?
Okay.
Alright.
Can you see my slide?
Yes, clear.
Okay. Alright, so I will start now. Can I?
Yes, please, Encik Muhammad Yazid.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon to all of you. My name is Muhammad Yazid Ani. I'm from UiTM Penang. So today for our conference, I will present about resident satisfaction towards sustainable tourism development in Cameron Highlands. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. For the background of the study, Cameron Highland, as we know, is a famous ecotourism place which have a lot of tourists. And for the latest update that I know, Cameron Highland today they have McDonald's, and I think when the border open, and the amount of tourists will be increased because of the new attraction in Cameron Highland. And then Cameron Highland also is a Malaysian best known hill resort that located between Pahang and Perak borders. And the population in Cameron Highland approximately have 40,000 people, and the main activity are agriculture and tourism as stated by Tourism Malaysia in 2012. And Chile in 2015 indicate that the sustainable development should be applied to all of the field of the social development, even though it is social, political, or economic development. As what we can see, Cameron Highland is one of the suitable place that we need to apply the sustainable development at that place, as tourism is a competitive and dynamic sector that need a constant adaptation to tourist increasing demands. And at the same time, we need to satisfy the tourist and as well as local resident requirement towards the tourism on the place itself. Okay, next for the problem statement, Abdullah state that the highly polluted rivers have caused residents do not have high hopes on sustainable development. This case was quoted in Cameron Highland. These things happen because of the development towards tourism place, and then it's involving the polluted rivers at that area. And then next, the environment degradation has negative impact to the local resident quality of life, as stated by IJCHT et al. And this case happened because of the illegal plantation, and they also do the illegal clearing, and indirectly they use illegal foreigner to work with their project, their illegal project, and this thing lead to social problem as illegal foreigner come and they're like having a culture shock between a local resident and illegal workers. So we can see that as the tourism expand or grow in Cameron Highland, it also create indirect problem or grow indirect problem because of the growth of the tourism itself, and it creates what we call like a problem, or we don't know whether the resident is satisfied or not towards the development of the tourism. Okay, for the research objective is to examine the relationship between environmental dimension and resident satisfaction. And second is examine the relationship between economic dimension and resident satisfaction. And third is examine the relationship between social cultural dimension and resident satisfaction. Okay. I want to ask, did my slide move accordingly towards my presentation? Is it moving or not?
Yes, now on research question.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, I continue. And for the research question, is there any relationship between environmental dimension and resident satisfaction? Second, is there any relationship between economic dimension and resident satisfaction? And lastly, is there any relationship between social cultural dimension and resident satisfaction? And then we move to significance of the study. In terms of theoretical, this study will assist and guide the theoretical practitioner to evaluate and monitor suitable development for the tourist attraction and to educate the local and tourists to manage the tourism place for a better future development of the tourism industry. And for the practical, it will help the authority to implement the steps to be practiced in order to preserve precious natural resource at the tourism area. As we know, Cameron Highland they have many places that what we call the place grow itself by nature of the area because of the climate, because of the environment itself. And then, as I mentioned, the second point, when if over tourism happen at Cameron Highland, this thing will lead to slowly degradation the natural place, like we can see in Mossy Forest, the place that where people love to go hiking. If too many people go to hiking at the same time, it will lead a bad footprint at the jungle area itself, and it will slowly lead to another problem as we what we can see normally. Hikers will create rubbish. They will leave a rubbish at the jungle. Is in what I can observe in Malaysian culture of hiking. And then, in terms of practical significance of the study, it will help the economic, culture, and environment of the tourism place. It will lead to the sustainable future of the hospitality sector, so that all the local tourists and the authorities can work together to implement and monitor suitable development for the tourist place in Cameron Highland. Okay, for the literature review, a World Organization has created 11 core of sustainability tourism indicator, and and classified into 4 groups that include ecological, social, economic, and planning. But as what we can see in this indicator, it is lack of focus in local people. They just focus on the basic thing like ecological, social, economic, and planning. But this point didn't mention to focus on the stakeholder involvement, which is local people, as stated by Waka Errol 2010. And next, while a number study have focused on satisfaction of tourism operator and customer, a limited number have focused on the satisfaction of local community, as I mentioned just now above, and resident with the sustainable tourism development that impacting the local community itself. And then Purdue, Long, and Allen in 1987 state that tourism benefit obtained when tourists and residents have mutually beneficial relationship. In that case, residents demonstrate active support and engage with visitors if they perceive the activities of agrotourism is beneficial. It means that here, if local people, if residents get the beneficial from the tourism activity, so they will most likely will support the tourism activity at that area itself. So in terms of beneficial, in terms of economy, in terms of their what we call in bahasa Melayu kebajikan terjaga, so they will likely support the activity as compared if they didn't get the beneficial from the tourism activity itself. Okay, next is my conceptual framework adapted from Spagenberg 1999. Environmental dimension, we have economic dimension and social dimension, and there are 2 resident satisfaction. Okay, for the hypothesis is environmental dimension in sustainability has a significant impact on resident satisfaction. Next is economic dimension in sustainability has a significant impact on resident satisfaction. And lastly is social cultural dimension in sustainability has significant impact on resident satisfaction. And then for research methodology, quantitative research will be used because this research tend to find the factor that will affect resident satisfaction towards sustainable development in Cameron Highland, and the target population will be resident located at Tanah Rata. Why I choose Tanah Rata? Because Tanah Rata is most the main area at Cameron Highland, and all the economic, social, and cultural activity is focused on Tanah Rata area. And then the data collection method that will be used in my research are primarily data that collected through questionnaire, and secondary was collected from published journal, article, and official website. And then the questionnaire will be distributed by using Google form, and then I will distribute in Cameron Highland group in Facebook page. Yeah, right now I found the 3 group in Facebook page that involving Cameron Highland resident. And then non-probability sampling will be used in this research with the intention of examining the real life phenomenon as stated by Pender Dus 2016. This research is using G-Power program to compute the sample size. And then, as I said, alternative plan will be executed based on the current situation of pandemic in Malaysia. And PLSM is used for data analysis to test the measurements and substantive model of the study and examine the relationship among construct in the purpose research model. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Muhammad Yazid, for the presentation. So this is still a concept paper, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there have not been any data collection conducted yet.
No, just a
Ah,
pilot study.
all right.
Mhm.
Okay. So maybe I would like to ask: is there any questions to Muhammad Yazid related to his proposals?
Mhm.
Okay, so maybe I can just start first, Muhammad Yazid. So maybe if you want to refer to your slides on the sampling uh, on the data collections or your yes. Okay, so here I noticed that you are suggesting for non-probability sampling.
Mhm.
Kan? Alright, because of you said because of the nature of your population. So but so we know that under non-probability there's a few techniques that is apa ni fit with this type of population. So for your research ni, what is your suggestions? What do you have in mind? So because you were going based on the groups kan, WhatsApp sorry, Facebook group, right?
Mhm.
So what is that? What type of technique to actually under
Mm.
non-probability?
Technique. Can you give what example of technique? Sorry, I didn't know.
Okay, so macam kalau non-probability and then for online ni, so normally they will choose to go for macam quota sampling or snowballing, right? So kalau yours macam mana? Ada have in mind lagi tak? Tak ada lagi?
Tak ada.
Tak ada lagi.
Didn't have. Sorry.
Alright, so maybe you can consider. So because you said that you are going to use those Facebook group, the community of Lata apa? Sorry, Tanah Rata,
Rata.
Cameron Highlands. So they have a few groups, and then from that group you are going to approach them to answer your online questionnaire, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you can consider whether to use quota sampling or snowballing technique for that type of sampling technique. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions from the audience? So that maybe we can help and maybe to assist Yazid for his research.
I think I have a question.
Yes, yes, Miss Muna.
Uh, Muhammad Yazid, can I look at your 10 slide? Slide nombor 10,
Okay.
conceptual framework. Environmental dimension, economic dimension, social dimension. Okay, I'm very interested with this research. Last time I also had same interest of going to Cameron Highland to understand the pollution pattern there actually.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just wonder what type of environmental dimension that you are going to touch, or what type of, can you,
Focus, right?
yeah.
So under the environmental dimensions, do you have any apa ni? Have identified the items under those environmental dimensions?
Maybe there's any problem regarding pollution level in Cameron Highland, like river, water pollution, air pollution, or something like that. Do you have any issues about that?
Yes, I have issue about that. uh, as I state in my present just now, it state because mainly because of the uh, Cameron Highland now growing their tourism development, and then as the tourist place is grow, and then they need to clear the land,
Mm-hmm.
and then for the they like we what we call they make a resort, a hotel, but uh, when they are clearing the land, they implant again the trees,
Mm-hmm.
and then they uh, cover it back for like what we call a place that maybe they clear the land, but the process of clearing give a benefit to the local resident. For example, with a project that they need to build the hotel, And then are the project involving local people or empowerment the economical of local people? Are they using a local people for the manpower for the project, or they just use illegal foreigners so that they can pay much more lesser than using a local people manpower? So that things create what we call in bahasa Melayu, I say the problem just like beranak. It's from
Yeah.
Spreading lah, makin banyak kan.
starting from environment, they clear the land illegally, and then they use illegal foreigner also illegally, and then the illegal foreigner create social problem because as we as we know, the illegal foreigner usually have some kind of a problem that will react between the local resident, and local resident will indirectly feel uncomfortable with the project itself. So the project itself, one project, they involve too many factor of problem.
Yes. Yeah, but I think that's very important to highlight because there are a lot of dimension that will contribute not just in environment, it's going to affect also the economy and all, right? Especially when the resident, I believe if they have to do with the project and if their family members are working in there, I think the satisfaction level might get affected. So you might want to, you know, be careful, or you might want to figure out their demographic background to, you know, maybe there are some impact towards the satisfaction. That's my suggestion. But that's all from me. I think it's very interesting study. Hopefully you can have a good result. That's all.
Yes. Thank you, Muna, for the questions and input to Muhammad Yazid for his research. All right. I think maybe we can continue with our next presenter. Thank you, Muhammad, for your presentation. All the best for your project, inshallah. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
next, we welcome is it Dr. Muna. Is it Dr. Muna Mariam Azmi from
Yes.
the okay, Dr. Muna, your paper is titled Analyzing Future of Accessibility Tourism in Malaysia.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So we welcome you to start your presentations, please.
All right. Thank you. So can you see my screen right
Yes,
now?
clear.
Okay. Okay. So I can start now.
Yep, please.
Okay. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon, everyone. So today I'm going to present my research with my team. The title is Analyzing Future of Accessible Tourism for People with Disability in Malaysia. My name is Muna Mariam binti Azmi. This research was conducted with my team, Dr. Siti Nurmala Jailani, Dr. Roshita Abdul Razak. All of us are from School of Tourism, Hospitality and Event Management, University Utara Malaysia. This research is funded by Grant College 2020 from University Utara Malaysia. Okay, I just have this picture here. I would like you to imagine yourself, okay, now that we are opening the border, we are opening a tourism opportunity, right, for the public. I would like you to imagine yourself checking in a hotel. Imagine yourself as this person, as this lady, okay, with the luggage. When you are at the counter, you're trying to check in, what do you feel during this time? I'm sure that a lot of you are excited, especially after this MCO kan. You are excited, you feel anxious, you can't wait to get to see the room, right? So this is how a normal registration in a hotel looks like if you have no disability. Okay? It's a different condition if you have some sort of disabilities, okay, which is what I'm going to share with you today. If you have some sort of disabilities, going for travel is not as easy. all right? Because you need a few plans. You need to know whether the hotel is going to treat you right, or you will have serve the service that you paid. Is it worth it? Okay, so you need to do a lot of research. If you don't, you might end up with this type of challenges. Okay, where you will face like this picture here. This tourist, he tried to check in, but he found out that this level of counter is not suitable with his wheelchair height, right? It is not a problem, but sometimes not for everyone. We cannot accept it, right? And outside of the hotels, those who with wheelchair might end up with situations like this. These are just a few types of disabilities. Okay, there are more I'm going to discuss after this. So just want to introduce to you the numbers of people with disability. Statistics given by World of Health Organization 2020, 15% of people in this world is people with disability. Okay, and the numbers of people with disability, or we call it as PWD, is increasing, especially when elder generations is, they have a longevity, they are getting older and they live long, right? More than 100 years old. But their disability, increase, right? And especially with the worsening health conditions like COVID-19. As you all know, unfortunately, for those who have affected by COVID-19, once you know get that COVID, your health condition might not be the same, right? For those who have not been vaccinated, especially. So accessible tourism is focusing on making tourism for all. It enables people with access requirements to function independently with equity and dignity during travels. Because once we get to the age, we never know. We might end up, right, being in this type of group too. And although we have a lot of money, of course, we want to use it, right? We want to go for entertainment, we want to go for travel. So when we pay the same amount, okay, the people with disability, they paid with the same amount. Why can't they get the same service like the normal people, right? Therefore, there's urgency to develop tourism services, products, and infrastructures that address specific access to these special needs people. So demand of accessible tourism is also increasing, especially with the increasing number of people with disabilities, as I mentioned just now. People with disabilities are becoming a growing group of consumers of travel, sports, and other leisure-oriented products and services. They got money, they got everything. So now is the time for them to go out and travel, and they're willing to pay. According to a research by Bottle 2015, he suggested that those with disabilities are willing to pay more. If they can get the good experience in travel, why not? They will just pay. So 1.16 times their spending power more than average normal tourists. Okay, so it means that there is prospect of economy from accessible tourism. Oh, sorry, kejap there.
ada ada backgroundnya kat
Ada
belakang.
background bunyi kan? Zain, kejap Zain.
Okay, Dr. Mena, if you want to settle down your kid first, it's okay. We can hold.
Really?
Yes. We can hold first because
Okay.
yeah.
It's okay. I think it's okay. Oh my god, this time. Okay. Am I here already? Okay. So the problem with accessible tourism, however, although the demand is increasing, the supply, however, was not able to match. According to a research conducted by Agovino and others in 2017, 63% of major travel and leisure company mentioned that they did not have the accessibility products or service that can be provided to this group. And a lot of research that has been conducted in tourism field and also out of tourism field shows that any service related to people with disability has low satisfaction levels, and most hotels were not prepared for older people and people with disabilities from this research. And although we have a lot of research in Malaysia, a lot of this research did not look at the general view of those with disabilities. Some of the research, they focus on only physical disabilities or only on learning disabilities, or they did not cover all. So in Malaysia, we have estimated by Department of Social Welfare Malaysia, there are around 4 million of people with disability in Malaysia, and around 12% actually of people with disability. However, those that registered is only around 500,000, like 1.6%. And if you can see here, this is the example of type of disabilities in Malaysia that are recognized. Okay, majority of those with disabilities, they are having physical disabilities. There's a majority. I mean that they will need wheelchair or they use a crutch, cane, followed by learning disabilities, visually impaired, and so on. So, in this research, we would like to investigate the challenges. We would like to identify the current challenges that were faced by people with disability during their stays in hotel. Because currently we have lack of this knowledge. We have, but it was like 2015. We need to have it updated because accessible tourism has been acknowledged and UNWTO has given a lot of strategies to be implemented. The second is to identify the level of accessible tourism in Malaysia based on the perspective of people with disability from various types, all the 7 types. Okay, here's the methodology. Okay, we're using quantitative approach. We use online survey. We use online Google form distributed online through social media platform like Facebook, WhatsApp, Telegram from March to August 2021. The sample we look is a purposive sampling because we only focus on those with disabilities and those who have relationship with people with disabilities like friends, family, or those friends from the colleague or something like that. The survey, what we ask them is about their demographic background. We ask them about their age, state, employability, what type of disability they have, type of assistive devices used, and travel frequency, like one night at least. We ask them also about the challenges faced in hotels and the perception on accessible tourism in Malaysia. We ask questions open and close-ended type. The items adapted was from Darcy 2010 and Tutuju 2017 because they studied about accessibility in hotels. Okay, for data analysis, we conducted our analysis using our statistical software where we use correlations tests using Spearman rank correlation tests and then Kruskal-Wallis and Duns tests to identify the differences. And we use frequency to identify theme for open-ended questions. All right, here are the results. Okay, as you can see, we have around 120s, but we only use 114 because the remainings were not usable. Okay, as you can see, the majority of our respondents were female. There were 61 and male are 53. Most of the respondents, they are people with disability themselves and followed by family or relatives of PWD. Disability type, those who answered, they have physical disabilities, most of them, followed by others like learning disability and multiple disabilities. We also asked about their assistive devices, okay, what they use to help their movement. So we also asked whether it's not related. And as you can see from the result, we have not related Okay, most of the respondents, they did not use assistive devices, maybe because they don't need it, and followed by manual wheelchair, followed by others. Okay, others can be can crutches and what's not, and others. Okay, so when we ask about challenges faced in hotels, most of them agreed that public spaces are the main challenge that they face in hotels for most of the respondents, followed by room and then others, and then with the staff. Staff is the least. So when we look in that, in the public spaces, when they respond public spaces, we look further into the issues that contribute to the reasons. The response given mostly on lack of facility, like there's an available ramp or elevator, and even the height of the counter itself, which is not suitable. Movement challenge is also another issue. They have suggested the public spaces was too, not enough space for them. And the public attitude, this one is interesting because public attitude, they think that when they are in public, the eyes around looking at them was not very positive and they don't feel very comfortable. Okay, so that's the main issue in the public spaces in the hotel. All right, so we look in depth into the challenges faced according to their type of disability. So you can see here, we got a significant result. The significant result after using dance test, we found that, as you can see here, this orange color, indicates physical disabilities people. So most of them suggested that room is the most challenging for them. And we look into the description, they always mention about the space. The room's too small for this group, or they cannot get into the room properly. There's just like different height. So these things reported. And for others like learning disabilities, those with, like, for example, or maybe disabilities that you can see easily, right? Like syndrome Down, those with the parents, when they went, they think that is the most challenging part. Okay, rather than being outside, being inside, the public space is more challenging for them. Sorry. Okay, we also use assistive devices to see the relationship with the challenges. And as you can see here, there's a different challenges faced by different disabilities or different assistive devices. Okay, for those who have no assistive devices, they don't need the assistive devices, but maybe the disabilities can be seen. The public space is the affect them the most. Like I mentioned just now, it's nothing to do with their assistive devices. But those with wheelchair, they face difficulties in the smaller spaces like room. And interestingly, also not related, those who didn't have assistive devices, they face most challenges during when dealing with the staff. Okay, maybe it's because of the language, or maybe it's because their what they intend to do is not understood by the staff, something like that. Okay, so it's significant. Last, we asked them their perception on traveling in Malaysia as PWD. Is it getting easier, or it is it easier, or is it getting better compared to previous years before 2020? Because before that, accessible tourism was not much known compared to now. Majority of respondents are not sure. They think they give the answers of maybe and no. Okay, and the minority only mention about yes, on agreeing that traveling in Malaysia is getting better. So I arrived to my conclusion. So as you can see, from my research, although there are some limitations because we only cover hotels, we found that even in the small focus area on hotel, we still did not have the right, or we still did not provide the best accessible tourist experience for these people with disability. There are a lot of rooms for improvement. So it is important to prepare the needs of PWD based on disability types and assistive devices to each PWD's travel journey, as you can see, because the challenges are different by each disabilities and different assistive devices. Therefore, um, madam, so we have to cater the needs of these people with disability because they have different needs, right? And the importance of staff connection and environment is important because it can lead to their satisfaction level too. I'm so sorry about the background. I don't know why they have to disturb me this time. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Muna, for the presentation. All right. So
Thank you.
I
You can contact me through this if you have
yeah.
questions.
So maybe Dr. Muna just can leave your email address, or maybe we give you a few minutes with your kids first to settle down, and
Is it
maybe
okay?
yeah, you can join later, and then if there's questions, so we can discuss later. Is it
Okay, okay.
all right,
Okay,
Dr. Muna?
if it's okay, or if there's any question now that I can answer.
I don't think your
That
mind is
is matter.
focused right now. All right, because there's someone need your attention right now. All
Oh my
right, so
god.
I think maybe we can excuse you first. Okay,
Okay,
just
okay.
settle down with your kid first, and then
Alright,
maybe
alright.
later on you can join us back, and then we can have Q&A sessions later. All right. Okay, so thank you, Dr. Muna, and yes, quite challenging to apa ni, to do this work from home with this banyak noise getting involved when we're doing our work ni. But then we proceed to our final presenter, Dr. Mageshwari Rajanathan. Okay. She's going to share with us her research on beyond image as post-pandemic recovery, sustaining destination environmental quality through excellent experience. So, Dr. Muna, are you ready?
Dr. Magesh.
Oh, sorry, Dr. Muna. That you went just now. Okay, Dr. Magesh, are you ready to present
Yes,
your
I'm
research?
ready.
All
Yeah.
right. So
Thank
you
you
welcome,
very much
sir.
for the introduction, Doctor. And I would like to inquire, is it my slide can be seen there?
Yes, it's okay. Just
Okay. Now, the title is, as mentioned, is Beyond Image as Post-Pandemic Recovery, Sustaining Destination Environmental Quality Through Accelerant Experience as Mediating Factor for this research. Without any delay, I would like to proceed with what we submitted for the research paper abstract for this conference, and it's a joint collaboration between Sunway University, Taylor's University, and from also UITM Mara on Penang branch. Okay, from Dr. Dahlan. So we are the co-authors, and sorry, including Datin Sharif, Datin Sharif. The surname is Sharif. Okay, and so let's move to the why we choose this particular interesting topic. Before we go into the subject matter, let's understand why European was chosen as a respondent for this study. Because now it's COVID. So before COVID, the situation was different. We never expected that COVID would happen, but no issue. It's really important to highlight the importance of European markets here. If you see Europeans when they coming to Malaysia or they go to any sorry, just to ensure my slide is on market segmentation of European, correct? Number 3.
yes, doctor.
Okay, thank you very much. So when they are going for vacations or any sort of traveling, they would prefer to go to eco tourism destination. Okay, and we can categorize them according to explorer, life voyeurs, vacationer, and homebodies. And all these images, if you see, it's taken in Malaysia. These are the places that they love to explore. Okay, next, Why again European? Because many questions can arise. The international market that consists of European for Malaysia, it's less than 500. Why particular, we researcher took this, small group. But if you're looking into a bigger spectrum, the most spending power, the purchasing power among the tourists for the overall world top tourism spenders are coming from European countries like Germany, UK, France, Poland, Ireland, Netherlands, and Spain. So these are the data to support why the European was chosen for the study. Now coming back to what was proposed in this study is what are the image that we are showing to the international tourists. Okay, so these are the not good images that the international tourists, especially Europeans, are experienced. So all this was taken from the newspaper articles. This is the picture was played shown in the newspapers. Okay, not only that, from other experience. Okay, when talking about experience, it's not only about the destination quality, but it's also about the experience they receive from the nature and also people. So these kind of news also, everything was put into the news article. Now coming to the problem statement, why among all these important area that we can study, we are going for environmental sustainability. This data is from international indicators, where Malaysia is standing at number 28. Okay, and the overall score is 4.5. If you look into this, for price competitiveness for tourism, we are standing at third place. Okay, and if you're looking at business environment, we are in the 15th place. Okay, but look at the air transport infrastructure, we are in 21 place, level at 21 place. But coming down there, prioritizing travel and tourism, we are 55 place. And then health and hygiene, we are at the 17th place. The worst is environmental sustainability. We are standing at 123rd place. So this is the indication we show we need to engage back into the market by pulling out the revisit intention of international tourists, especially after COVID period now. Okay, it's like a restart from zero to next. Okay, and highlighting from the researcher's point of view why environmental quality and experience based on this is carried out is there is so much of complaint regarding poor planning of the accommodation, carrying capacity of the environmental sensitivity, overcrowding issues, congestions, and problems with the sewage and waste disposal as well. And also by Pamandu, they have come up with the report on illegal logging activities in the rainforest and the extincts of the leatherback turtles. Okay, and all this is like kind of providing a very bad image, and these would see whether international tourists would make the decision either to go to Malaysia or any other competitive destination of international Southeast Asia that they are that others are providing, and this is where the decision of the revisit intention to Malaysia will take place. Now, let's look at how are we going to solve this. Okay, this is the other issues which is happening. Okay, coming back to how we plan this study, in the environmental quality part itself, there is 3 dimensions. That's why I am showing a lot of issues here. First, we are covering on the nature. Okay, that's why I show about this, the problem that happening to our nature in Malaysia. Next, the steps that the government is taking. If you're talking about European tourists, is this the focus of the government as well? You can have a look here. Malaysia is really focusing on European tourists because they understand, because this is the one of the very potential market segmentation that we need to explore and keep up. Because looking at the history, back in 1980s, when tourism is not a boom for Malaysia, these are the particular tourists that always come and support Malaysians, if from revenue perspective. And how environmental quality coming to the picture. So since I told you, since back in the 1980s, Europeans are coming to Malaysia to support, but along the way, what is happening now in 2021 is a lot of other small country which is our neighbors, they might to boom, but they never do any harm to their existing environmental quality like what Malaysia have done. That's why I show all the issues earlier to bring the attention of the delegates here in this conference. Okay, so moreover, the disparity between the environmental image and real environmental quality is the most important part here. How international tourists, especially Europeans, they are coming from different continent to Malaysia. They are taking a decision based on by looking at a beautiful, nice beach, but once they reach down here, they go to let's say about Penang, okay, but what they saw is a black color water. So that is the differentiation that created between the image that they saw in the internet maybe and what the real experience they had. So there is a gap between delivery and promises here. That's why environmental quality has been taken into a study for to see the experience of the tourists here. And to make the study more stronger, we underpin this theory of SOR, stimulus, organism, and response, in order to give the intervening processes and structure conceive of perceptual of the psychological feeling and thinking activities. Because the mediating effect in this study, it's about tourist experience. So this is the overall picture of the research framework. As I told you earlier, this is the independent variable of the environmental quality, and this is the psychological aspect of the destination image with this mediating effect of tourist experience, especially on Europeans, and coming back to the dependent variable of the intended visitations of these European tourists back to Malaysia, and how the study supported using the SOR model. And all the literature review used in these studies has been put in this table format for easy access. And this is from antecedent to IV, which are the main article has been chosen to generate the instrument development for this study, which is questionnaire. Okay, for the research methodology, I would like to summarize the whole thing, how the instrument has been developed during an approach of quantitative. We used a hypothesis testing and the unit of analysis European tourists using a sampling technique of purposive sampling, and the number of data was collected from 482 Europeans using questionnaire. This questionnaire was not conducted online because the data was collected before COVID, meaning in January 2019. So during that time, the MCO was not affected. So that is the time the data was collected, and the data was analyzed using SPSS. Before the data was collected, we did a pre-test, pilot test, and the pre-test was done with the people from Tourism Malaysia. And the key construct of the questionnaire reflected based on the research framework. And let's move to the where the location of the data collection happens. The whole study was done throughout Malaysia. So all the places that have airport, this is the places that we collect the data from 30 to ensure that there is no biasness among all the states in Malaysia. We collected around 30 to 35 data from every airport in the states. Those places that don't have airports, we go for the places that become the hotspot for European tourists to mingle. So this is where we collected the data. Okay. Then why are we focusing on the specific tourist market research? Because they are very well known for their culture and nature. They love sea and beaches. They love good climate and coastline, because we know about the weather in Europe, right? So they also want to have a good weather. They love, the weather in Malaysia, especially in Southeast Asia country. So that's why, again, for the market research, this particular European was chosen. Okay, and this is the respondents profile. Most of them are professionals, and non-professional consists of only 32%, and majority of half of them are full-time employees, and also it carries a huge amount of freelance and part-timer for 20%, and 12% are student, and 9.8 are unemployed. They're looking for employment in Southeast Asia countries, so they took this time to travel around. And this is one of the interesting part. We have first-time visitors of around 79% out of that 482 respondent, and the repeat visitors is 21%, and majority of them are adults. Now, this is the travel information of the respondents. The length of stay that we achieve is 8 to 14 days, which is not that, sorry, the maximum is lesser than 1 week for 38 percentage. Next would be lesser than 2 weeks for 25 percentage. Those who stayed more than 3 weeks, it's captured for 17.2. So why the length of stay has been dropped compared to, in those early days are they prefer to also travel to other Southeast Asia country like Indonesia, Thailand, Cambodia, and other countries. Okay, then the main sources of information they gather the data about information about Malaysia is through internet, and all of us are aware that many softwares apps are available, and they travel to Malaysia with their spouse or partner. Basically 38 percentage of consists of them. And the interesting part of this European tourists, the majority of them for this study, they stayed in a budget hotel because they're moving around. Example, let's say they landed at KLIA. From there, they already have the pre-planned booked. They will straight away go to Langkawi or Cameron. Then from there, they move to other places. So they prefer to stay in a certain type of hotels. But again, we have 50 percentage owners at one point of time. They do stay at the resorts, especially in Sipadan, places like that. And very few of them also stayed in family and relative house. Okay, the transport mode that they use, they are not Europeans are a little bit special. They love to walk. If you can look at Klang Valley, those days before COVID, you can just see them walking around by just carrying a map. So this is their culture when they're traveling. So the transport mode used for them would basically using electrical train, MRT, LRT, and low cost airline. Within Malaysia, they do travel using buses, express buses. Okay, and further analysis of this data, we looked at when asking them how frequent you would like to come back to Malaysia. So majority of them said that extremely unlikely, because that is the time that COVID, the issue, the news of the COVID started to boom somewhere in January, right? So that could be the reason. It was like they said extremely unlike in a very recent time, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, and maybe after some years. Okay, if you look at the data here, if you see the blue color bar, it is increasing here. So mostly after some years they prefer to come back to Malaysia. So this is the market that we need to capture. Okay, if we are maintaining a good image of us to give them the good experience. So this is what the data is saying. Okay, next, let's move to the analysis part, because the study, as I told you earlier, it's about hypothesis testing. So it comes with the research question and research objective, and this is the data of empirical studies showing that all of the hypothesis formed here, it's supported, especially for H1 up to H1, all the relationship between H1. Okay, I'm more interested to discuss about the non-supported. Okay, so this is a research question too. If you look at, does environmental quality factor influence revisit intention of the European tourists? That is a question. So if we look at here, nature and man-made, it's not supporting. Okay, man-made, we can conclude here places like Twin Towers. Definitely Europeans are not coming to see the landmarks, of the man-made landmarks. But there is a huge question here that we need to understand. Why nature is not supported? Because all of us are aware Europeans love nature. Am I right? Can I get some feedback? Am I right?
Yes.
European love natures, right?
Yes.
And my data showing not supported. These indicating whatever that I presented that is what they experienced. Okay, I can share two small experience that, because when collecting the data, I never collect using the online method. We go and interview them. So we pass the questionnaire to them, and to my surprise, actually, they answer the questionnaire like answering an exam question. So that depth, they're spending time, they never complain, they're really like putting all the amounts. So two of the issue that they highlighted is they are not happy with the way we are doing our oil palm plantation here. So that is one thing. Second thing, it's like openly people, Malaysians are smoking. So that is another thing. So it shows that we never respect our nature. So that's the part that bring down this data actually. which is end of the day, we they saw us, these Malaysians, like, we are not respecting our own environment and not appreciating what we have. We are not paying our respect to the mother nature. So this is the decision of that. And next, let's move to man-made. I'm not very surprised, as I told you earlier. Like Twin Tower, they have more advanced skyscrapers than what we have in Malaysia. So that is all okay. But this is like to bring the dimension for the environmental quality. Like one of the questions that thrown to the presenter about Cameron just now, what is the dimension for environmental quality? So I took on quality of nature, social and man-made. Okay. And even before we start this study, especially me, I was very confident we are going to get more data for the nature, and it comes to a huge surprise. But that proof what we are facing in Malaysia, it's correct. So that's the reason. Okay. Next is on since the study is focused on the mediating effect. Let's see this question. Does tourist experience, have the mediating effect on relationship? So on the acceptance levels, it's not very supported. This could be the reason. Some of these, Europeans, they prefer to, go to the sea and, beach, and then they used to have this privilege and privacy of wearing bikini and those things. So I think most on that, and happened to be that time around, crime cases in Malaysia, especially for tourists, is quite high. You can look on the reviews that they put, because nowadays social media is one of the easiest platform everyone can throw their tantrum, correct? So a lot of people started to complain in case, like, I lost my, as a European tourist, I lost my luggage, I lost my wallet, anything. So the way what is that this tourism police handle the case, it's not very friendly. So that could be the reason why in the acceptance here we got not supported for the hypothesis. Okay. And let's move to the key findings. I have put everything, all the important parts here. So they are coming to Malaysia because of the local food. They love enjoyable holiday here. One of the very significant things they said, they love Malaysians because of the friendly smile, okay, and energetic destination. These are the positive points. And many undiscovered natural destination. One of them, majority of them, was mentioning about Sarawak. There is numerous activity in Malaysia. Acceptance of the dressing in Malaysia, it's quite high, it seems, because we ourselves, came from a multiracial people of Malaysians, and the involvement in the trip is very pleasure and unique experience. This is something that very good to be captured. And the beauty of the nature scenery, landscape, various species of flora. So they still, have a very good, opinion that we will take care of our environment in a betterment. And they also love to come here because of the multiracial culture, traditional of Malaysia, and less language barrier, because most of Malaysians, especially in urban area, they can speak and engage with them. So there is no language barrier. This is one of the plus point for Malaysia, especially compared to our own neighbors. Okay, and European tourists will recommend to others. Okay, have more destination, because why they don't want to suddenly come back within 1 year time, because they want to explore other destination. Because two of the limitation in tourism industry is time and money. And out of 482, 249 responded they will revisit Malaysia. Okay, and looking at the theoretical contribution of this study, it's this is the first time SOR model has been sorry, I don't want to use this word. This is a very few way of addressing SOR model in the tourism industry, in the concept of the framework to underpin the theory. And when tourists experience use as a mediator, the relationship of quality of environment and revisit seems to increase. So experience of this particular European tourist has played an important role to bring up the relationship. Okay. And on the methodological contribution, this is the first time also the study has used the process command of SPSS, because all of us in this room know everyone prefer to use PLS. It's much more simpler version, correct? But I took the challenge of using a SPSS version, but I inserted this process command by Hayes, to 2012. To engage on the mediating, to testing on the mediating side of this study alone. Okay. And coming back to the COVID, because the study addresses of the accelerating using tourism experience, right? So the tourism marketer and promoter understand the different market segmentation of European to Malaysia, meaning whatever they were promoting to the mass market, it's not suitable for the European market. This supposed to be, um, really kept by taken home message for all this promoting destination for Malaysians. Okay. And for this one, when COVID reset tourism, I would like to discuss this in the next slide in a depth. And then the third one, emphasize on the importance of to manage and preserve the environment, for example, to gazette the forest and marine parks. Especially this is where we have Belum, Banjaran, Habitat, this kind of pure ecotourism destination, and there is a lot of activities that engage these particular people who willing to spend a lot of money there. Okay. And coming back to after COVID, what is the new deal for tourism? So the after COVID is going to create more, the tourist bubble is going to be different. We would prefer to travel alone or with a very small number of partner. Okay, either 2 or maximum 3. Do you agree with me?
Yep. Okay.
Correct. Yeah. So people will understand that mass tourism is not good because it's COVID. Okay. And this is the very latest article. You can see the date here. It's on 15th of July 2021. The study was carried out to Malaysians right after vaccination. Where do you want to go? Many of them prospect agri-tourism boom in Malaysia. Okay, so this is the one of the dimension in ecotourism as well. So this is the time to really take care of whatever destination that available in Malaysia to cater for the international tourists later. So in the conclusion, I would like to emphasize whatever finding of the empirical data here. It shows that revisit intention to tour European tourists to Malaysia, it's crucial. And moreover, it's important to recognize that very few researchers have investigated the antecedent of revisit intention in European. Only one article was helpful for me. It was by Sadat 2014. So very few people have done on environmental quality from a tourism perspective actually. Okay, and the proposed study with the new integrated SOR model, which will demonstrate a significant predictive power to explain the environmental quality from the revisit intention perspective. And it is also a better understanding of the relationship between the future revisit intention and its determinations in assisting tourism managers to maximize the use and resources to ensuring tourist retentions, because everyone is coming back to zero now. Because of COVID, no one can travel anywhere. So whoever they're going to capture the right market with the correct intention, putting in mind all the SOPs need to be taken care, they are going to be the market leader for tourism. So again, I would see this as an opportunity rather than a threat, because it's about ecotourism. So don't ever damage whatever that we already have. Take care, and we must be really wise in doing marketing for Malaysia's among these international tourists right now, including Europeans. So with that, thank you from me, Mageswari from Sunny.
All right.
Any questions?
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Mageshwari, for the fruitful apa ni, informations and results from your research. Very interesting. Okay. So
Thank
yes,
you.
we open to the audience. Do you have any questions to Dr. Magesh related to her research just now?
Hello,
How's-
Doctor.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, I'm Ridwan from UITM.
Yeah, Mr. Ridwan.
Yes, I'm just wondering because you said that post-COVID, I mean, there will be a changes from changes that it will become agri-tourism. I mean, agri-tourism sectors in Malaysia, lah, right?
Okay.
Basically, after COVID, right? I mean, as it's now, we are on community-based tourism, right? So, do you
Correct.
think that from the community-based tourism, it will convert into agri-based tourism, or it just flourish flourish from a new one to become agri-tourism? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. It's a very important question to address at this point of time. We must understand what is the profound fundamental for a country to move. It's economic, am I right? So tourism is a second best contributor in Malaysia before COVID for tourism, from tourism. And most of this funds are coming from international tourism. But for your kind information to everyone in this room, I did my masters in domestic tourism. So I know the fundamental of domestic tourism. No matter what, no matter whatever industry we are involved in, we should focus on our local first. Let's say there is no food in Malaysia. Can we go and simply import, especially at this COVID time, or better house our own food? Better house our own
Yeah.
food, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct?
I
Because
mean,
we might be paying more money. We are not like Singapore, like, taking water from here and selling it in a different price, right? So it's like, taking care of our own resources. That is the fundamental. Now, coming back to answer to Mr. Redwan's question, let it be agri-tourism, whatever it is. If it's involving our local, that is where we're going to sustain. Okay, after vaccination, all this travel ban has been lifted up. We can travel to within interstate, right? So this is reflecting on international tourism or domestic. Domestic, correct.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever that I shared just now about the agri-tourism, it's not research by me. It's the news article that captured this when people interview right after you got vaccination, the travel ban has been lifted out. Where do you want to go? So many of them said we want to go to agri-tourism sector places, meaning the whole paradigm, the trend has been changed. They're no longer going to go for mass tourism. So what is interesting here, don't demolish the place just because in the name to cater for the international tourists last time. So let's cater for our own Malaysians. Let's sustain our small medium enterprises before we focus on international tourism. Meaning, it's not I'm against. Let's look on the bigger picture. If we're sustaining for our own local people, this is what would capture by the European tourists who really pay attention for, are we taking care of our own environmental? Okay, if that happens, definitely they will come. So it's a chain. It's a chain that taking care of our own people is important. I just want to share this one small experience. These Europeans, big MNCs are very active in providing a lot of money for CSR projects, community-based projects. So there are many countries from Asia, they can compete for this, and this company will send their staff around 300 of them to go and work in any of the rural areas. So happened to be at one point of time, I don't know how many of you here know about Sapilo, the
Yeah.
proboscis. Yeah,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
proboscis monkey species, right? So happened to be this, around 300 people from one of the MNC in Europe come and stay there in Sapilo. They stay in the normal place. They stay together with the local people there. Okay, the whole 1 month, what they did, they go and renovate the school. It's a school made of wood, papan. Okay, they go and just buy all the stationaries that available in one of the small grocery shop there, give to all the students. They paint the place. Okay, they do whatever they can. They stay there for 1 month. They did all the good thing for the locals. If some Europeans can come and do that in our own place, how we should take care of our own locals?
Yeah.
So the question is like back we should ask ourselves, especially at this time, this point of time. So pay focus on domestic tourism. International tourism will happen on its own. We no need to demolish and place and show to the whole world that we are doing good for international tourists that just going to stay here for 2 weeks. So that is my point of view, and the perspective really supported it with what we carry for environmental quality here. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Ahmad. Hope I answer your question.
yeah, thank you very much.
No problem.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Magis, for the answers for the
Yes.
questions. Yes, it's very important that we first focus on our domestic tourism industry first. All right. So then it will spread, all right, to the others attractions as well.
Word of
Okay.
mouth. Yes.
Yes, definitely. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Maybe. Do we have any other questions from the audience? All right. So yeah. I think that's all the session for our session today. All right. So I think thank you very much and congratulations to all presenters, including me. So we have finished our objective for joining this conference for today. So maybe before I end this session, maybe our co-chair, Dr. Zahra, maybe want to wrap up the sessions. Is Dr. Zahra here? All right.
Okay, I'm here. All right, thank you very much for the chairperson, Dr. Carl Sitino, and also all presenters. Thank you for the knowledge that you have given to us just now, and I've learned a lot from the presentation. And I guess, yeah, we will have another photo session. So please turn on your camera so that we can see everybody here for another photo session. Right, Dr. Mageswari, right here.
Oh, Dr. Mona, you just come back. Yeah, we skip your Q&A session, so I don't know, maybe because urgency thing need to be done
Thank
just
you
now.
for your understanding.
All right, it's okay. Okay, all right. Okay, 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you very much, everybody.
All right.
Have a
Thank
great
you
day.
very much
Thank
to the
you.
organizer.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you,
So,
everybody.
all right.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Um,